right, let's get right into it. I have a guest on the show today who is putting out what I believe to be the funniest videos on social media right now. Comedian Brent Terhune's on with me live from Indy, and your political commentary videos, I think, have been legit the funniest thing on the internet. You're like, what are you, like 6 for 6, 5 for 5 right now? I feel like you're just hit after hit after hit.
I feel if I don't put one out every week it's fine if I can, like, there's enough material, of course, to put one out. So if I take my time and to perfect the beat, as I think Snoop Dogg said, I just try to take my time and come up with a good argument. And with these videos, you got to always have a contradiction. You got to say one thing, say it one way, and then mean the complete opposite. So yeah, it's been a fun writing exercise to get some criteria that I didn't know I had yesterday, and then try to make that funny.
I mean, there's no shortage when you say, like, if there's no material. I always kind of have this irrational fear just on the internet in general, where I'm like, today's the day I'm going to wake up and there's just not going to be anything for me to blog about or podcast about. Like, well, it's just going to run dry eventually. It just never fucking happens.
No, especially now, it's like there's like every 3 days there's like a new thing that happens. So you got to like comment on it now, or in 3 days there's going to be a new thing. And what I'm talking about now is old.
Right. So for the people who don't know, Brent has been doing these satirical videos that is like the quintessential "Make America Great Again," hillbilly, ignorant, moron when it comes to protests and statues and NASCAR and
SpongeBob's gay, Looney Tunes losing their guns, stuff like that. And pretty much anytime if you would see a guy ranting in his truck about that, that's what I'm talking about.
Now, is it, and the beauty of it is it goes whoosh over a lot of people's heads. I mean,
yeah.
I admit, when I first watched the first video, the first 10 seconds, I was like, all right, let's see what this idiot's got to say. And then I very, very quickly realized what was going on and loved it. There are people who watch this for minutes, 3 minutes, and at the end are still thinking you are this Trump conservative lunatic. 2 questions. One, does that surprise you, or did you expect that for people to really take you that seriously? And 2, what does it feel like knowing that you have the look that everybody can believe it?
Well, initially when I first made the first one a couple of years ago, I thought it was so clear what I was doing that I was like, nobody's ever gonna fall for this. And then I kept getting comments, and I was like, and I would comment and be like, no, it's a joke. But then eventually you get so many of those. Yeah, you can't even keep up with that. Yeah. And then, at first, the headlines were like "Redneck Slams NFL," because that's what you see on all the other videos. It would be something slams something.
Right.
So I just did that, and then I stopped saying redneck, and then people would be like, "This guy's a funny redneck." I'm like, "Oh, it's good to know." If you ever wanted to know anything about yourself, just post a video on the internet and they will let you know. So apparently that's what, because, I'm from Indianapolis. So if I go north, people are always like, yo, you're from the South. But if I go south, they're always like, you sound like a Yankee. So it's like, I guess I'm ambiguously Midwestern, I guess.
Well, I mean, honestly, is that not literally and figuratively the best way to be? I can't believe how few people, well, or at least, I hope it's probably more of a silent majority, but how few people out here are just in the middle. It's staggering to me. It's nuts that, and as a comic, you're making fun of that side, but I'd imagine you can find the humor in some of the incompetence on the left. And, and it's like, it's all bad. It's all terrible.
Yeah. Especially with humor. You can't really lie with a joke. Either a joke is funny or not. So, that's where the truth comes from. And especially on either side, I mean, you get some people, both sides will watch it and not get it. And you realize that it's so tense right now that sometimes people were going to have that opinion from the jump before they even hit play. And I'll have a lot of people be like, I didn't even hit the sound. I could just watch this guy and know what he thought. And then we're like, that's kind of the point.
That's the point. That's
yeah.
fucking brilliant. It's the glasses, the beard, the hat, the beer, the truck. That doesn't necessarily mean, everything that you think it's. That's why it's funny on the surface. It's funny a couple layers deep, and it's brilliant, 10 layers deep. I tip my cap to you. Did you know? I didn't realize that you had made them a couple years ago running now. Is it recently that it's really blown up, or has this been your thing for a while now?
It's really blown up recently, and I could, with quarantine, how I made a living was working the road as a stand-up.
Right.
And then obviously that's not happening maybe for the rest of the year. Who knows? But I just tried to use the time wisely. So, and especially if you're not driving 5 hours to a gig, that's an extra 5 that I got to do something with.
Yeah.
So I was just trying to create as much as possible, but also not wear out my welcome at the same time.
Yeah, I think that, the frequency you're doing it right now is perfect because I still get excited when I see one pop up.
Mm-hmm.
And I know what it's going to be, but you still have, like, I love the hits. I love the I don't think so. And I love but I digest. You have your hit that you always play, but whatever the topic's going to be or whatever the nuance, the details are always change. And I mean, it's like my favorite running thing right now. I'm like, waiting with bated breath for that next video.
Thanks, man.
How you mentioned not being able to go on the road. How long have you been a comic, and like what have you? I mean, obviously this stuff, but what else have you been doing to try to keep up with the way the world has just been fucked?
I've been doing stand-up for like 14 years. I guess October will be 15. Yeah, so I started young when I was 16. I started in my high school. Yeah, so they would,
That's what drives me crazy is I'm a blogger, a podcaster. We do live shows, but it's not stand-up. But I love it. I love stand-up, and I would love to dip my toe. I'm 35 now, though, and it's like everyone I talk to is always like, well, I started when I was 4, and I've been doing it for 30 years. It's a tough, it's a great thing to get in on early.
But the quintessential example is always Dangerfield. I don't know. I think he quit and then went and sold siding and had a bag of jokes that he would write. And then he came back at 55 or whatever. But, that is a rare exception, but it does happen. But I've been performing, and I would host the Battle of the Bands and the talent show in high school. That kind of thing. And then, in 2012, I finished college and I was like, I could get a real job or I could try to make this work and, full-time air quotes. And so far, so good.
Were you always political, or is that a new, it's like the way the world went where you almost, I feel like we at Barstool tried to always stay out of it. And it got to the point where it's just like, you can't. I mean, it took over the internet. So if you're going to be, current and up with the times, you almost can't not be political.
Yeah, it was never really political. And to me, those videos are more about, it just so happens the subject matter is political, but it's more about a Trump supporter. Mm-hmm. Those guys that will wear figuratively and literally wear a jersey of a political candidate, and then you're seeing how far they're going to go every video, because he'll say something and you'll be like, no, well that's where he's gonna lose them, but he never does. That's the thing. So, and it's more of a commentary to me on that culture of the truck rant culture. I follow all these pages online of just these guys ranting in trucks, because now it's inspiration to see what you're even talking about,
Oh man, how much do you think you get? Usually you retweet or quote tweet people who are saying you're stupid and you're exposing that person for being stupid. But I don't often see you quote tweet people being like, hell yeah, brother. Is there just as much people who miss it in the other direction?
I think so, but then they're also, I think they just share it. They don't even comment. They just share it, because I do get people in the comment section be like, I shared this video and then my uncle shared it who would completely disagree, and then his 3 friends were talking about it. It's so weird how it says something about comprehension in general, where you can watch a whole video and still not pick up on the things that I'm saying.
I mean, some pretty heavy fucking sarcasm. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it's subtle, sometimes it's like, all right, we see what's going on here. But you've broke the system, man. You've unlocked it. If you're getting like the problem with political commentary, comedy content, whatever, is you're usually going to alienate one side. and you found a way to get both and all, with some people who get it, some people who don't. Everybody's sharing it for different reasons, but fuck it, it's getting shared.
Yeah, and it goes back to that thing. Sometimes the joke, there's no lie in the joke. You know,
Right.
it's like, even in my regular act, I have this bit about, have you ever noticed the more dirty dishes you have, the bigger the spoon you'll use? That's the premise. But that, to me, that's a good joke. You know, I wrote it. Come on. But no, but it's also like, everybody's been in that situation where you have a sink full of dishes and now you're eating with a ladle.
Yep.
That's the truth that you can't get around, you know, and it's relatable. So that's the thing. I try to bring that to the videos, but you know, sometimes it's not always that case. So, but go ahead. Yeah.
What will you expect when you are able to get back on the road? Do you think your crowd will have like shifted at all? Do you think you'll have, you know, more liberal, more conservative? Will people not even, you know, do you think that there will be someone showing up to your show thinking those videos were the wrong way? You know what I mean? Like, are they duped that much?
Maybe. I don't know. I've never had anybody come up and be like, I didn't know you were not that, you know, as far as a guy who agreed with me. I've had people come up because they didn't even know I do stand-up. That's the thing. Some people still don't. And they're like, we didn't know what you're going to do, because up to this point, I've not even done that, you know, that character live. My act is very not political. It's just about those types of jokes I just said, the dishes joke. It's the writing level is still there, but it's not political, because, you know, if I'm in Wichita, Kansas, and maybe 5 people are there to see me, the rest of the people won't know. And my goal would be to have everybody leave the show and be like, that was a great show, not as opposed to the last 5 minutes being like, what was that? What was that last that, you know? So I'm trying to figure out a way to do that, and not, you know, I don't want to offend anybody. I'm fine with that, but I'd rather have you have a good time at my show. You know,
I mean, this definitely feels like something that lives online, with maybe a quick reference or whatever on stage, but to make it like, I don't think there's a like Larry the Cable Guy-esque type of vibe for this, right? I mean,
that was never the goal, and you know, but then you're like, oh, how many mansions does that guy own?
Yeah. You know what? Might be worth it. Might be worth a shot. See how the people play. You know, what's the social? I mean, you're up around on Twitter. You're up around like 220,000, which is a solid. That's a great following. As what percentage of that is new from this latest burst of virality?
I set a goal at the beginning of the quarantine because I think I was at 23,000 followers.
You gained 200,000 off of this? Holy shit. I mean, I'll be honest. When I did, I think I saw you around like 150.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh shit, that's a number that I should have been aware of you. Like I should have known. You know, I keep up with all the comics.
Shame,
big time. But I didn't realize that you went from 23 to 223. That is fucking remarkable.
Yeah, it's been, and that kind of started because forever my platform was Facebook. That's where I did really well. But then I kind of changed it up, shortened the videos, and then I did a couple. I did one where Garth Brooks is wearing the Barry Sanders jersey, but of course my guy was, you know, Bernie Sanders, and then there was another one about Caitlyn Bennett, if you're aware of that lady.
Yeah.
The human.
Oh, I'm aware of her.
Yeah,
we have a long-standing feud. If you look at her Twitter bio, I'm in there. I fucking despise her. So
are you one of the haters she's monetized so far?
Probably. Yep. Everyone always tells me that. Stop responding to her. Stop giving her the attention she wants. I'm like, listen, she's getting the attention one way or the other from her like radical base, and I'm here to call it out as it is. I can't stand that girl.
Yeah. So those are the first 2 that really hit on Twitter. And that was fun because in the Garth Brooks one, I was like, I'm done with your CDs, Garth Brooks. And of course I went to Goodwill and had a Titanic and a Kids Bop. And you only notice in that moment when I'm throwing it out. So that's the stuff I love. If you really pay attention, you'll actually get it, you know, or you'll be like, this guy had a Kid Bop CD and they still don't get what I'm doing, you know?
Right. I mean, that's what I'm saying. If you really have an eye for it, it's even funnier than you probably initially thought. I didn't realize the growth though. I mean, is this is this you making it? Do you feel like this is? I mean, obviously, it's a very important point in your career, but do you think that it's upwards and on from here?
I think so, and when I look at the facts, I'm a guy in Indianapolis who was working the road and still will work the road, but I'll be in the middle of nowhere sometime, and you never heard of that town. That's also making it, to me, if I can pay my bills doing stand up, like that's a win to me. But all this extra stuff is great too. So I have new goals that I would like to meet, but we'll see where it comes from. And I don't want to produce any bad content. And I hate to even use that word content anymore.
I'm trying to like replace it in my vocabulary, but it's an easy catch-all, but it makes me want to puke every time I hear it.
Yeah, and I just want to do the stuff that I love, and I can for now. We'll see what happens, but
Have you linked up with? Have you come across Pat McAfee at all? Do you guys have any sort of relation out there? He was with us for a little bit. Now he's out on his own back in Indy. I feel like Indy is a interesting little like hidden, like under it's like a little hot spot. Like we have. I mean, Pat was obviously from there, but we got like three or four people who like came from there to Barstool, and it feels like it's just like this little hidden like comedic area. I don't know.
I mean, there's definitely funny people here for sure, and it's just one of those things. I think the internet is definitely a game changer. Because now I can, before 20 years ago, it had to be on the coast. And, realistically, I probably should be now. But that's the situation that I'm in. But, with McAfee.
So let me just interrupt you for a second. So we in the beginning, Barstool tried to do like a satellite city format. And Boston, New York, Philly, we were all like the exact same guys cut from the same cloth. We wanted to get it out to Barstool, LA. And we hired a dude from Indy. He was a stand-up comic from Indy. His name was Nick, and he like had relocated to Barstool, LA. And I think at least for our model, I think people were like a little confused by it. And the way the internet has moved, I think it's better to just be like, I'm the Indy guy from Indy. And because you don't mean, there's some benefits and some bigger clubs. And eventually, if you really make it, you probably need to be there. But I think in the beginning, authenticity is way more important than being like, I'm a transplant. I left my roots. I don't have a hometown. I think it's better to just be the indie guy.
Yeah, and now with the internet, you can find the niche audience, but that'll be 1 million people. Now you can reach those people, and you can be, and that's what definitely with podcasting and stuff. You can talk about the movies that nobody has watched, but there's a 1 million nobody people that will listen to that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And especially with quarantine, then you can find out what job you can do remotely, and nobody really cares that this is you and me on a laptop and not face to face anymore.
Honestly, you lose a little bit with chemistry and whatever, but for the most part, we've proven that this industry is completely virtual if you want it to be, which thank fucking God, because I don't know where I'd be if I was, out of work right now. But talk to me about the Three Pence Moon shirt. Wait, how old are you?
I'm 30.
30, right. So I'm 35. I think anybody even remotely in our age range knows the Three Wolf Moon shirt. I don't know what the fuck it was. I don't know why it was a thing, but everybody our age knows those three wolves on the moon, and you took it and turned it into pence, and it seems to have kind of taken off a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it's been weird because now you can Google it and you'll find 8 different sites selling that shirt, which...
That's when you know. That's when you know you got to eat it.
It sucks because, now this... It's a parody that I did, but also, I'd like to be the guy that's selling it. But it's weird. It's that Three Pence Moon shirt. I think it took off on Amazon where, all these reviews. I don't know why. But that now I've gone to the zoo and you'll see there's the turtle one and there's the polar bear one. And I don't know. It's like if you ever go to a Walmart, that's kind of like a standard shirt that you see at a Walmart. Yeah. Which I don't know what it is whatever kind of art it is, but it is kind of very artsy for a t-shirt, but I still really like it. And then I just took my pence and had him howling at the moon.
It's like sometimes the most nonsensical, idiotic thing is what hits. I mean, we built an empire off of t-shirts. Like,
Dude,
you can look down on t-shirts if you want. We grew it into like a clothing line at this point. But there was a long time where it was just funny slogan, like ridiculous picture, slap it on a shirt, sell it for $25, and we kept the lights on with that shit.
well, and the thing is, people, they like those shirts, but also sometimes they just want to support you.
Yeah.
So,
really,
and
like have just like a conduit almost.
yeah, so if that's their way to help you besides downloading your stuff, people just want to support either way. So, especially a road comic, I would tell anybody, get something that you would like to sell, that you'll respect yourself to sell.
Right.
But get something, man, because somebody either way is going to want to try to give you money. At least give them something back.
The podcast, it's called Field Trip.
Yeah.
And is it just kind of an array of things, and you're working out your bits and stuff? I'm always curious for comics if you use your podcast to work out material, or if you take material and put it into your podcast, or is it kind of both?
It's kind of neither. I guess eventually some of these will turn into, because the concept of Field Trip is it's topic based, evergreen stuff. So if I released an episode in October, it's not time sensitive, so you can go back and listen to it. The one I just put out today was an episode about the Blues Brothers, which was a follow-up to an episode called SNL Movies. So it's kind of you pick a topic and you do a deep dive on it. I've done parody religions. That's still probably one of my favorites. So you may have heard of the Church of the Flying Spaghetti Monster.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, ramen. Then you find out that they've created this thing where they celebrate Passover and Ramadan and that kind of shit, where you're like, somebody spent way too much time on this, and now I'm learning about it.
Right.
Funniest obituaries. So they're standalone topics. So if you don't like one, you can go to the next one pretty easy.
I feel like that's a great supply to have for what's going on with you right now. If you gain 200,000 new followers, and if your shit is all time sensitive, it's like you have a whole catalog that doesn't mean anything anymore. You find Brent now and you like him, you've got an endless amount to go back and listen to.
Way too much.
Way too much. I hear that.
Because before I did a wrestling podcast, and that was like, are you going to go back and listen to it 2 months ago for an old storyline type thing? Right. So now there are more evergreen wrestling topics as far as worse wrestling gimmicks. I mean, I'm wearing a wrestling shirt right now.
So I believe today is 24 years ago today, Hulk Hogan turned to the Wolfpack and went NWO.
Oh, man. That's
people. I mean, that's got to be – is that on your Mount Rushmore of wrestling moments?
I think it could be. And, that's always, like, debatable on what the biggest moments are. But definitely, because that kind of ushered in a quote, reality era of wrestling. And I'm a wrestling fan and I'm a horror fan. And those kind of go hand in hand, as far as there was like Scream, which was very meta, very reality based, and then you had the NWO. They're kind of self-reflective kind of thing. So
are you like, you still keep up with it currently? I feel I was an Attitude Era guy, and in my older age it just kind of like fizzled out for me. But I truly believe that The Rock, Stone Cold, Mankind, Kane, Undertaker, the Attitude, DX, the whole era, I think is maybe this is crazy, but I think it's the best entertainment of all time. Like that era of week after week, pay-per-view after pay-per-view, the amount that the amount of quotes that came from it, the amount of shticks, the amount of gestures, all of it was all from the WWF in that era. I think it's like the best thing that's ever happened to me.
And you're not much older than I am, so like it's part of that thing where probably you wanted to believe that was real. Obviously, it's not. But as a kid, I'm like, oh, this is awesome, Yep. And now, like, you look at wrestling, it's really generated some of the biggest stars in history. There's Hulk Hogan, and now the biggest star probably ever is The Rock. Yeah. And John Cena will probably be in there somewhere, But it's like there's no off season for wrestling, so it's kind of that thing where you do get to look forward to it, but then at a certain point you get fatigued. Right. So then now I will watch, but it's weird because there's no audiences.
Yeah, very dynamic now.
Yeah, so then it's weird. It's how I consume all media is via podcast because I'm busy doing other stuff.
Right. That's
Whether
it.
I'm in the car or something, you can listen to a recap of it, and I'm all caught up, but I didn't even have to turn the TV.
Well, yeah, especially aside from a Mankind match or the Hardy Boys or something where you're really getting the spectacle, it was always all about the storylines to me. So if
Yeah.
I can just get like the gossip almost,
Mhm.
as long as I can keep up with that, I'll be hooked. And it's interesting that like, when there's that element where you're a kid, but then I even think like the Stone Cold shtick, I think worked for adults because it was like fuck you to your boss and like
Yep.
fuck the corporation and the man, and like I think that actually resonates more when you're older than when you're like a kid because you actually get it. You're like, oh yeah, I've got a boss.
Mhm.
I want to fucking stun him through a table. So it really, I mean, I know wrestling's always a weird thing where the people who don't like it look down on it, and the
Mhm.
people who like it get offended by it being looked down upon. And I think it's better to just it's like politics. Leave it out and just like enjoy it for what it's worth, which is just incredible entertainment.
It's weird how caught up people will get in hating the thing that you like.
Oh,
If you just put that much effort into the things that you like, you'd be a lot happier.
I'm known as like a hater at Barstool because I usually just skew. I'm a New Yorker. I have high standards for everything, movies and content, and I'm always it's tough for me to like give a cosign out. But the amount that people get mad at me hating the thing they like is, I mean, it's mind-boggling. It's crazy. I basically made a career off of it, but I guess I'm doing the same thing in a way. So thank God for polarizing opinions.
Well, yeah, that's what gets the views. Nobody wants a lukewarm. It was okay,
Right. As long as they're not indifferent. But that's where I find I struggle a bit when I'm now old enough, been around long enough, and the world has changed enough where we got to talk about some real shit. And when I'm talking about movies and wrestling, girls, whatever, I'll be an asshole. I'll be edgy. I'll be a dick about it. But now, we're talking about some real shit, life and death, and racism and causes, and it's like, wow, I'm not going to be that guy when there's like real shit on the line, but people have come to expect that. And it's hard to navigate. That's why I really commend you for the way you're doing it, where you're keeping it so humor based while also making a point, and it doesn't have to get serious and it doesn't have to be a fight. Cause the last, month or so for me has just been a shitstorm where I feel like you have found a way to make that shitstorm just like work to your benefit and everyone's benefit.
Well, and so, sometimes I'm genuinely angry about certain things, so I'm able to take that and be mad. But it's not a put on, about certain things. And then sometimes you don't even touch it in a video. You just post how you feel.
Right.
Like you have just said, where you're like, yeah, you can talk about video and music and whatever, but now sometimes you just gotta like have somebody. There's no beating around the bush.
Right.
Make it as clear as possible. So, but I mean, have you seen a movie recently that you've really found met your standards?
I just watched Hamilton, which I expected to not like because once something gets hyped to the moon, I go into it with the bar set at like a 10.
Yeah.
And I'm not really a musical guy, so I don't even know if I could really have the eye for it. But I actually liked it. And that was like a big step for me where I was like, okay, I like it, guys. Like people were like, oh, I thought you were going to hate it for sure. And I was like, no, this is pretty good. So that met my standards. I've been mostly TV shows. I haven't been doing movies recently, but like my main thing, like I hate The Godfather. I don't like it. And people act like I killed their firstborn every time I say I don't like The Godfather.
What about The Godfather don't you like?
I don't think I'm really into the mob the way that like the world is. Like The Sopranos is not like on the top of my list.
That was one of my early quarantine rewatches, probably the fifth or sixth time. But again,
wow.
It doesn't bother me if you don't like it.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely I was intrigued by the ending, and I can appreciate. I'm not saying it's like bad TV. I know it's well written and all that. It's just it never grasped me, and now it's become a thing where it's like now I'm going to dig my heels in. Now I'm going to you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
I get it.
I
just finished Breaking Bad again last night.
The best.
So it's weird that you like one and not the other.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, again, maybe it's the Italians. I don't know. I'm an Irish guy. I'm a Mick. Maybe I just don't like the I'm not sure about it, but it never never grabbed me the same way as Breaking Bad. I also feel like it depends on who you are when you watch it and who you watch it with and all that kind of shit. And I think The Sopranos was just never the right, time for me. Were you a Thrones guy?
No, I tried to watch that a couple different times, and I don't know. I liked the Lord of the Rings, and I don't know if those are that similar, but I don't know. I just never got into, and I kind of wish just for the conversation, just so I could get all the memes.
Yeah,
all that.
It is. You dodged the bullet with how shitty it ended. So everybody, I was in on the conversation, but I was left so grossly dissatisfied. I was just watching. I wish I was giving The Sopranos a shot during that time.
Yeah,
they botched that one.
And now it'll be the complete opposite of what you had. You had the build up, and then it didn't deliver. Well, it did for you for Hamilton, but the bar's been set so low for Game of Thrones that I might end up watching it and be like, you know what, it wasn't that bad actually.
That's true. If you go into it with an open mind and not expecting the greatest, maybe it has a whole different ending. I'm not sure. Well, listen, dude, really appreciate it. I hope that it's just the rocket continues to the fucking moon. Very happy for your success. Don't be
thanks, man.
Come on whenever you'd like. Keep up with the videos. Everybody go listen to Field Trip. Follow him on Twitter at Brent Terhune, Terhune. And congrats, man. It's an awesome thing to watch unfold.
Thanks, man. I don't have a release date yet, but I have a new comedy album coming out this year sometime. So it's recorded for New Year's. It just takes me editing it, and then that's all I got to do. So it'll be out later this year.
When that comes out, when you're ready to drop it and do some promo, come on back on, all right?
Cool, man. Thank you.
Have a good one, dude.
See ya.